Before I begin my sermon this morning, I just want to say how nice it is to be here, how wonderful it is to have this full church. And when we do things like this, days like Easter, days like Christmas Eve, I know that some of you are here because you're here to support your family members. And you might not believe a word of what you hear today. And I want you to know that's okay. The fact that you're here with your family is important, and we honor that. There are others among you that maybe are part of the communion, part of the community, but your faith is a little bit shaky. And you know what? That's okay. I'm not asking you to believe anything you don't believe. Believe what you can believe and come back and wrestle with us. I guess what I'm really trying to tell you is that St. Paul's is a place where you're welcome regardless of where you are. And you can come here and you can wrestle and you can fight and you'll be welcome. And we're happy to have you here, and I appreciate you being here this morning. There's a very cool website put together by an online magazine called Smith, and it is a collection of 6-word memoirs. Have anybody seen this? 6-word memoirs. People are basically, have gone on the website, they're trying to distill their lives down to 6 words. 6 words about what is most important or distinguished or interesting about them. And everyone is invited to participate, and there's an online gallery of these most recent offerings, and it changes all the time. It's very interesting. Some of these 6-word stories are moving. Somebody recovering from a divorce wrote, "I still make coffee for 2." Some of them are clever. Comedian Stephen Colbert wrote on there, "Well, I thought it was funny." Some of them are tragic. In fact, the inspiration for the whole idea is fairly tragic. It comes from a story that was told about Ernest Hemingway. And somebody asked Ernest Hemingway many years ago to write a short story that was 6 words long, and it was a tragic story. He came up with this: "For sale, baby shoes, never used." And this made me think that for all of the joy and fanfare of Easter, for all the complexity and mystery of our whole religious life together, for all the billions and billions of words that we use to try to explain it, that Christianity itself has a 6-word autobiography. Jesus is risen from the dead. There are approximately 775,000 words in the Bible. And not one of those 75,000 words makes a bit of sense without those 6. There are roughly 2.2 billion Christians in the world, and not one of us has a thing to say without those 6 words. They're the words that the women carried back from the empty tomb to the disciples. They're words that have been passed from person to person, from community to community every day since then. In secret, in triumph, in darkness, and in celebration. And it is these 6 words that have taken us from a scattered and broken people who are lost to the largest religion on the face of the earth. It is these 6 words that have found countless individuals whose lives were already dead. Dead to sin, broken by pain and suffering. People living in darkness and given them new life. There are 6 words that have been whispered at bedsides and shouted from rooftops and shared at dinner tables and workplaces and in neighborhoods. They're words that have been forbidden by governments, both ancient and modern, and yet somehow they've still been spoken. They've still been shared. Jesus is risen from the dead. How many lives have been transformed? Starting with Mary Magdalene and her companions. falling on the ground in utter shock upon hearing those 6 words. How could we possibly count the ways that billions of hearts have been changed upon hearing those 6 words? What could we possibly use to measure the impact in our world of these 6 words? The ways in which forgiveness and joy and reconciliation and love and charity have wrought miracles and abundance on the face of this earth in the time since we first heard that Jesus is risen from the dead. This is the story of our lives. It's the story of life itself. It's the story of how life is stronger than death. It's the story of how God's love for us is stronger than death. In the end, it's really the only story that there is. How, friends, will these words change your story? Where in the essence of who you are do you hear the call to new life? To come out of the tomb that you've been sealed in. The tomb of fear, the tomb of hopelessness, the tomb of dreams delayed. Where in your life are you looking for the living among the dead? How will you receive this news that has been handed from life to life, from heart to heart, from age to age, now that it has been handed again to you? And how will these words change the world? What does our story have to say to a world at war, a culture at odds, a people in pain? How will we be sure that they will hear our story of hope? Every day, we write our story again. And we say that it is no less true today than it was at the beginning. It's no less miraculous today than it was on that first day. No less shocking, no less joyful, no less important, no less life-changing, no less meaningful. Jesus is risen from the dead. Run and tell others what you've heard. Amen.